Hey, I'm Tobias, and I am transgender if you haven't figured that out right already. Why are you here if you haven't figured that out? I don't really know. It's been a million years since I last updated, so I figured I should post something. I've really been itching to make a video for a while. Life has been a little bit crazy in some ways, and it just hasn't happened. First of all, I finally fucking got my driver's license. Yes. So, I don't remember right now the last date that I posted a video, but getting my driver's license has been a months long fucking shenanigan and a half all by itself. So, my new license is here. It says my name, my new name, and my gender marker is an X, which makes me very happy. As a side note, it also has a picture that is probably one of the ones I'm most pleased with. I tend to look manic or completely stoned in my license pictures. Probably not alone in that, who knows? And other than that, I have been experiencing a few changes that I wanted to go over, which I'm pretty excited about. Some of them are better than others, just as far as how I've been feeling. The first thing I wanted to talk about is body fat redistribution. So, I have gained a small amount of weight as I've been on T for a long time. It's really not a long time, it feels like a long time. But definitely a part of that has come from having a much more sedentary lifestyle than I did before. So what's interesting is that as I've gained weight, most of it has gone to my stomach, what I lovingly call my cookie pouch. The word that my doctor used was dad bod, which is not where I really wanted to be, but it's different. And so far, I haven't been having too much dysphoria about that, but I have been feeling disappointed, I guess, because of the changes to my body that have simply resulted from being more sedentary. So, kind of two things that go hand in hand. Another thing is that a lot of tissue has moved from my breasts, probably also into my cookie pouch. Alas, that's kind of how tea works, I guess. And so where that leaves me is that my breasts are a lot smaller in volume than they've ever been. Along with that, binding and wearing bras has worked a lot differently for me. Pretty much at this point, my boobs are less like full kind of sacks of fat and glands as much as loose skin with mostly gland tissue in it, I think, at this point. And the aesthetic isn't great. I feel kind of uncomfortable with the appearance of my breasts right now. And I've never exactly wanted them to fully go away. That's still not in my plans. But I've been more and more exploring what surgeries would look good for me. And the primary things are one thing I wasn't comfortable about is overall volume. I would love to still have boobs, but be able to be stealth sometimes. And the other thing is that for many of the styles of surgery that would work for someone with my profile, what I have going on up here, um, they would need to cut off the blood and nerve supply from my nipples, and I'm desperate for that not to happen. That's like one of the very few things that I really love about my chest, no matter the shape, is that it is so sensitive, and I would be really disappointed to lose that sensation. So I've been looking into different techniques. A radical reduction might be in my future. I might go that route and then have something more dramatic come later after I've recovered from that surgery. I know they don't recommend that path because of scarring, but I care less about scars right now than I do about how I feel in my body. So there's that. Um, Mostly that's been it. I have noticed just based on my license photo versus earlier ones, my jaw has become a bit more square um, as compared to before T or earlier on T. Um, one of the things that has really changed to kind of go along with that is how people receive me publicly. I said before that I was getting 50-50 kind of gendered one or another binary gender, but it's really become clearer and more stark in the past, I would say, month or so, if not more recent than that. I've tended to be inducted into the boys' club of customers that I get that are cis males. And at the same time, women will sometimes clock me and decide that I'm a she. And it's been weird to deal with. I know that I've said before I wasn't sure if getting called he or misgendered as a guy would come to bother me. I find that it still hurts when I get misgendered as female. I think that's simply because of the history I have with that already, rather than being gendered female as such. But that's been changing. I've been getting gendered male by guys a lot more frequently. So I get called bro, I get called dude, I get called brother. That was a new one from today. And that was really exciting. That was the first for me. What else? So, something else that has been happening is from very early on, was microscopically analyzing every little change, every little sensation that was different, to the point even being, I don't remember, even probably within my first couple of weeks on T, I got a sore throat. And I was really desperately hoping that it would mean voice changes and not me getting sick. Of course, that specific time I happened to be sick. At the same time, I had thought that my voice had changed like a little bit since starting, and especially since going up to what is a typical like binary masculinizing dose. But I have just recently been experiencing that my voice cracks sometimes. This is the first time that's happened to me. I hit 10 months on T on August 26th, and I was absolutely sure, I was led to believe that the voice changes would happen somewhere starting 3 to 6 months. But obviously, my voice changes so far have been pretty minor, I think. My sister actually recently video chatted me the first time that she had heard my voice in probably nearing a year. And what she said to me was she was expecting me to sound like Morgan Freeman. I just think that's the funniest thing ever. So no, I don't sound like Morgan Freeman. And it's weird because, as I said, I had been expecting some voice changes or thinking that some has already happened. And so for my voice to suddenly start cracking like a teenage boy was really something that took me by surprise. And it's way different on paper than it is going through it, okay? Like, there's nothing like being an adult in the middle of trying to pitch like a product to somebody, and then all of a sudden you sound like a honking fucking goose. That's the wording I have for that. There's really nothing like it. And for me, I'm not sure if there's a significance to my voice cracking. Like, am I going to start seeing more change? Is it going to change dramatically? Is it going to change quickly? I really don't know. And the mystery is killing me a little bit. I don't really deal very well with uncertainty. Even if in the beginning I had kind of left what changes I would get up to God, more or less. But here we are. My voice is cracking. I'm 10 months on T. Oh boy. I live in my parents' house that I'm not out to. Double oh boy. Yeah. I've been getting some more facial hair. My mustache is starting to come in a little bit more. It's very scraggly. There's a line by John Mulaney, Comeback Kid, where he talks about a, quote, Cheeto-fingered, rat-mustached, like, pimple face kid in a wedding party, and I'm feeling the rat mustache aspect of that. I've also started to notice a little bit of like golder white blonde hairs down here that are getting to be a little bit longer. I don't know if this is common when people are growing facial hair, but I've also been getting a lot of blocked hair follicles that they feel like they should be pimples, but I try to pop them and they never do. They just hang around and look awful. Um, if someone can shed some light on how I make them go away, I would be super grateful. And the last thing that's been happening that's different for me is that I bought an STP device. For those of you who are watching who may not be familiar, that's a stand to pee device. And I've always loved, TMI warning a little bit, using urinals as an owner of not a penis. Typically, I would use them by squatting. So that was something I liked. I was more curious about standing to pee than anything. I was also the victim of my perpetual desire to have as versatile a product as possible. So naturally, I got for my first STP a 3-in-1. I am broker than shit, as some of you may have heard me say. So the one that was within my budget was the Sam by New York Toy Collective. And it is a very different shape and firmness from a lot of STP packer combinations, which is what I was looking for. I wanted something I could like take around with me without being super obvious about it in public. In particular, because I've begun to feel less comfortable in women's restrooms as I look a little bit more like a teenage boy. Perks and drawbacks of going through puberty again. So Sam STP has been definitely a learning curve, and I'm still mastering it. There are some aspects of standing to pee that I think are, I don't know if they're inherent in doing that as a vulva owner, or if there are some lessons that I've missed whilst not being a person who stands to pee a lot. But if you look up the Sam, it's very rigid. It's about this long. It is arranged kind of so that the pecker points straight forward from testicles, which it also has a model of. And the hole is also a little bit smaller than on some similar products. But those tend to be a lot more expensive, which is part of why I chose the Sam. The theory with this guy is you can wear it in your pants and it makes you look like you have a bulge. You can use it to pee. Self-explanatory. It looks like a dick. No one's going to question you at a urinal. It does look, I think, looking down pretty like realistic as something like that can look. And for those of you who may not be familiar with men's room culture, no one's going to be staring at your dick while you're peeing. That's just weird. Men don't even tend to really look at each other or anything but the direction of travel when they're in a men's room. But it's nice to have that as opposed to some of the other devices that exist for vulva owners that are more geared towards maybe cis or like femme people, which are bright purple and look like a little funnel, and you need two hands to make sure that they're on your body and don't leak. That is one thing that I really like about the Sam, is that as I've gotten better at using it, I can use it with just one hand. So I'm not like awkwardly holding it to my body with two hands and looking real weird about it. And as I mentioned, it's a 3-in-1, so there is an insert that goes inside of it. Part of the reason that it's shaped like a boner, so that you can use it as a sex toy. I don't have the insert because, as I mentioned, I'm broke as shit, but I'm looking forward to trying it. As far as like what standing to pee means to me, I think at this point, as I've touched on before, it mostly means that I can go stealth. That means that I'm in a bathroom and nobody suspects that I was not born a man. But I don't find that it is as euphoric an experience as some other changes I've had, like my voice changing or growing a happy trail and stuff like that. So it's kind of a novelty. I have taken it on as a bit of a challenge because the Sam, as you will quickly learn if you look at any review, is a challenge to use and not super intuitive. And basically at this point, it requires a lot of thought to use it for me. but I like it for the idea of being stealth. I know that there are plenty of guys out there who sit to pee, and that's fine, but I would love to use a urinal when that's all I need. Often, especially because urinals are much more plentiful in men's rooms than stalls. And being able to use a urinal without arousing suspicion is something that I consider a little bit important to my safety in that space. I've never been harassed in a men's room as of yet, which is great. Um, Probably has something to do with, again, just tunnel vision to where people are traveling. Go in, go out after you've done your business, end of story. But I'm not really sure about the emotional impact of it. As I mentioned, it's not really doing a lot for me at this point. I think that I enjoyed using urinals just as much the way I was doing it before, but you can't really squat into a urinal in a men's room unless the urinal's in a stall, and that's kind of uncommon. There is a space that I frequent that has something like that, which is great, but you don't really find it in a lot of spaces. And yeah, so far so good on that point. I'm still learning. I'm still getting the hang of using this, and I'm determined to figure out how to make it work consistently. And that's that. So primarily that's what I have going on, and hopefully I will be better about not updating my videos like a month and a half apart. Every time I say that, it happens again. Um, but I feel like often I was gonna do weekly videos or photos before, and the changes just came so slowly that I really didn't feel like it was worth a video a lot of the time. But we'll see. Anyway, take care, whatever you're doing with your day. I hope it goes well, and see you later. Take care.